Welcome to Wake Up Charlotte. Happy Thursday, everybody.
Free Friday.
That's right, Friday Eve. This morning we're talking about moms and how they juggle it all, and also the cost of it all as well when it comes to childcare. So we want to know this morning for the parents out there. It doesn't have to be parents too, grandparents, aunts, uncles. If you're in the loop as well,
it takes
a village. How do you juggle childcare? How do you afford it? Because as we talked about this morning on the broadcast, some parents either add a job, take away a job because it's
so
prohibitively expensive.
It's almost like paying for college now to pay for daycare. But Kia, you have some stats, and then we're going to chat about it some more.
Yeah, so we've been breaking down some information coming from Wallethub, which is a personal finance site, and they were taking a closer look at women in the workforce. So while making up nearly half of workers across the country, and on top of that, 73% of moms working last year, women still getting paid less than men. And that's just one of the disparities creating this uphill battle at work. It's why Wallethub made a list of best and worst states for working moms. And the Carolinas are not doing too hot. North Carolina ranks 39 on this list, which already is not great. But South Carolina is coming in at 50. Oof. The only state working worse was Louisiana. Washington, D.C. is included in the list, though, guys. That's why we have 51 total. So for how researchers are coming up with this list, they compared a couple of different factors like wages, parental leave, public schools, and the most important, child care costs. So analysts put up a $122 billion price tag on what some are calling the child care crisis. And that information comes from Ready Nation. They're saying the economic burden is costing parents about $5,500 a year. And that can come from a couple of different sources. That could be paying for daycare and babysitters, lost wages due to being late for work, or even having to give up a job because of insufficient child care. So during the morning show, we were asking folks, what is the most that they've paid for childcare? I mean, that $5,500, that's a little too low.
That's
some
low.
people were responding and saying like tens of thousands.
So we're relatively new to this. So Kim's a rock star. She works from home, so that's why pretty much afternoon I rush back trying to take over the second half. But no, she's working through the morning, taking meetings. Luckily, JT is awesome, but we're still on the wait list trying to even get childcare. So it's not even that. Like, even if you want it, you have to plan in advance. So even if you're thinking about having a kid, get on a wait list because it's taking that long. But
so you're on the wait list to pay an exorbitant amount of money too.
And we're probably not going to do it because the one that we were going to go to did the factoring and $18,000 a year.
Yeah, we got some comments this morning, and one mom writing in saying it's about $35,000 annually.
Right.
And I mean, if you think if people have multiple children, I know so many people that moms especially that wanted to keep their job but ended up staying home with the kids because they weren't making enough and it was just too expensive to send them to childcare. And it's I feel like it's so hard for moms in this day and age. I mean, some businesses are great, but others it's like not only paying for childcare but trying to be flexible if you do have a mom on staff, if you get a sick call from the school, if you're asking employees to do stuff outside of work hours, then for that employee they're having
so much
to
of your budget.
you're having to pay for a babysitter. If you need them to stay late, come in on the weekend, well, you're having to pay to have someone come watch your child or children. And so we need to make it easier to keep moms on staff and keep them as employees because, you know, research shows they can multitask, they can juggle things. We'll work hard for you, but you got to, you know, meet us in the middle sometimes.
I think that's where that wage gap comes in too, because I mean we're habitually seeing that women, at least as far as average hourly wage, they're making about 82% of what men are making. So parents, if you have a dual income household and I don't want to say traditional, a household where, you know, you have your mom and your dad, if the dad is making more, well, then who's going to be stuck sitting at home from work?
Totally.
Women.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to that second comment that we had posted up, Cody, just a second ago.
Yes.
Because it's also so telling. I worked night shift for years, so we didn't have to pay for childcare. 3 kids cost me a loss of sleep, but it was worth it in the end. Kids and I took 2 naps daily. It shouldn't have to be that hard.
Right.
Well, and that's kind of the situation, you know, I was working nights, I moved to mornings so that we didn't have to pay for after school program. I mean, definitely I wanted to be more present for my kids.
Yeah.
The kids get out of school at 2 o'clock, you go pick them up, get in the line at 1:30, you know, and that's how it is for elementary. Middle school gets out a little later, high school after that. But yeah, parents sacrifice a lot for their kids, whether it's money or sleep or whatever, because we do want to be present, and you don't want to just pay to send them to an after-school program where you're like not with them at all.
I asked my grandfather years ago, because back in the day they had 10 kids, 11, 12,
Yeah.
and he said he was being very serious. He said, I can tell you, the joking reason we did, but he said in reality it's because kids could take care of each other. You had take a village,
right.
so the older kids took care of the younger ones. So because back in those days, the mother, look at all she had to do.
Yeah.
A lot more than today. You didn't have washing machines and dryers.
Yeah.
It was all by hand. So you needed the help of all those kids. He said, well, that's one reason you had a lot of kids, because they worked.
No,
Yes.
That's true. It's not just looking after the kid. There's the bottles to clean, and there's the laundry. There's everything like that.
And
so
the
again,
meals to cook.
Kim, you were amazing. I don't know truly, because men are pretty much one-track mind. How women can do so many things at once and handle it and keep the composure. It's amazing.
We are getting a lot of comments.
Oh, yeah.
Melissa saying 8 years ago, when both my kids were in daycare, I paid $400 a week. Hank saying same situation as Chris. My wife works from home. She watches our son before his shift. I take care of him as soon as I get home until bedtime. Melissa saying I was fortunate that I could handle the daycare cost, but it's no joke. Sandra saying you have to include childcare as a priority in your bills, just like any other expense. And so, this is going to what I was saying. Parents, you can't always drive the car you want or get the newest phone or electronics. Like, all your money is going to childcare and to take care of your kids, which, comes with being a parent. We know that,
And
that's why we celebrate Mother's Day.
Yes.
This Sunday.
You need 2 Mother's Day.
Yes.
Well, and that's the biggest problem is you can factor in maybe a few thousand a year, but when you're talking about an extra 10 to 20,000, you can't cut some things out. Also, on top of that, with inflation, how much more we're spending on groceries compared to a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
How much gas has come up. So it's almost unlivable at that point that there's a lot of circumstances that you have to pivot and kind of put yourself in tough situations.
But also just hearing from the parents I know that do this, they spend all this money, $20,000, $30,000 for childcare, and they don't always seem that thrilled with the result. Like, they're not always super excited about sort of the actual quality of their care they're getting.
Sometimes it could be questionable.
And so it's like, you're paying all that money, and then you're not even all that satisfied.
Well, because those people are underpaid as well.
Yeah.
So it's quite the vicious cycle all around.
Have you heard the newest population control method? You start thinking about this. People may not have kids because they realize how expensive
it's already
proposition
happening.
is.
Fortunately, we're really happy with our kids and where they've been in daycare. But I will say, like Chris said, with this wait list, those that are good, where they are happy, there's a long wait list. I mean, you almost got to get on it as soon as your child is born, and if you want them when do they take out your son? 6 months, 8 months? Ours, it just depends on which daycare you're looking at. But if it's like that, you almost have to get on the list even before the child is born.
We did it right when he was born, and JT's now 10 months, and we still have not heard from him, and we're still way down that list. So just put that in perspective. It's crazy.
Sometimes parents that don't have an option, they just have to put them in the daycare that they can get in. And sometimes you aren't it's not your first choice.
Right.
Anyway,
it's
we can talk about that.
Happy Mother's Day.
So again, treat your mother.
That's right. All right, folks, weigh in. Let us know what you think. We'll see you back here tomorrow for a Friday edition of Wake Up Charlotte to Go.
Bye, everybody.